All right, let's dive in. Today we're cracking open a classic, Think and Grow Rich. We're going to see what makes it tick.
Yeah, it's a fascinating book. And what's especially interesting is the origin story.
Oh,
We're talking about a 20-year deep dive
wow. 20 years.
into the minds of successful people, all kicked off by Andrew Carnegie himself,
Yeah.
the steel tycoon, yeah.
Hmm.
He believed there was this formula for success, kind of like a secret code.
Okay, a secret formula, huh?
Hmm.
Definitely piqued my interest. So what's the first ingredient in this recipe for greatness?
The foundation, the absolute bedrock. It's a burning desire.
Burning desire, got it.
And it's not just daydreaming about a better life. It's about cultivating a desire so intense that it becomes the driving force behind your actions.
So less wishing and hoping, and more like a relentless, almost obsessive focus.
Precisely.
I like it.
And the book illustrates this beautifully with the story of Edwin Barnes.
Edwin Barnes.
This guy was completely set on working with Thomas Edison.
With Edison.
Not just for him, with him.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
So didn't he basically just show up at Edison's lab? Like, no money, just pure determination.
He did. And, it's not just a charming anecdote. There's a powerful psychological principle at play here.
Oh.
When you make that level of commitment, it shapes your actions and ultimately your reality. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Huh. Makes you wonder if that unshakable belief, in yourself is what attracts opportunities.
Yeah.
And speaking of setbacks, Think and Grow Rich also dives into how to handle those inevitable bumps in the road, right?
Absolutely. We all face setbacks. The book uses the story of R.U. Darby to illustrate this point.
R.U. Darby?
Darby was this close to striking gold, literally just a few feet away, but he gave up.
Oh, man. Talk about bad timing.
Right.
But the real lesson, though, lies in what Darby did after that crushing disappointment.
Yeah.
Like, he vowed to never give up again, no matter how tough things got.
Exactly.
He even applied this newfound grit to his sales career.
Yeah.
Turned rejection into fuel for success.
What's inspiring about Darby's story is that it demonstrates that our biggest failures, they often hold the seeds of our greatest successes. It's not about avoiding setbacks, but about learning from them, adapting, using that experience to fuel your drive.
So a burning desire and the ability to bounce back from failure, that's two key ingredients down. What else does this secret formula include?
Another crucial element is the mastermind principle.
Mastermind.
It's the idea of surrounding yourself with a group, like-minded individuals, who can support you, challenge you, and inspire you to reach your full potential.
Ah, the power of a supportive network.
Right.
The book even talks about how Henry Ford, like one of the most iconic figures in American industry, he relied on his own mastermind group.
He did.
He had Edison, Firestone, Burroughs, a real powerhouse crew.
Exactly. And each member brought something unique, their expertise, their perspective, their ability to push forward, to think bigger and bolder. This wasn't just a social club, it was a collective brain trust.
Right.
That fueled their individual and shared successes.
So for anyone listening, the question is, who would be in your mastermind group?
Yeah.
Who are the people who can help you elevate your game?
That's a great question to ponder. Because the right support system, it can truly make all the difference when it comes to achieving your goals. But there's another ingredient, often overlooked ingredient, in Hill's formula.
Oh.
And that's conquering fear.
Ah, yes. Fear. The book actually dedicates a whole chapter to the 6 ghosts of fear.
Right.
These aren't your typical spooky ghosts, though. These are the insidious fears that haunt our minds and sabotage our efforts.
And Hill breaks these fears down brilliantly. He doesn't just list them, he dissects them, revealing their origins and their power to hold us back.
So what are some of these ghosts we need to be aware of? And more importantly, how do we banish them?
Well, one of the most common and crippling fears is the fear of poverty.
The fear of poverty.
And Hill argues that this fear, it has deep roots in our competitive nature, going back to a time when, resources were scarce.
Right.
And survival was a constant struggle.
Makes sense. Even though we live in a world of relative abundance, that primal fear of scarcity can still linger in the back of our minds. I could definitely see how that could paralyze action.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to taking risks.
Exactly. But Think and Grow Rich doesn't just leave us cowering in fear. It offers practical strategies for overcoming these mental obstacles.
Okay, good.
One of the most powerful tools Hill advocates for is decisive action.
Interesting. So instead of getting bogged down in endless analysis and what-ifs, The key is to make a firm decision
Yes.
and commit to a course of action.
Precisely. Hill argues that indecision is a breeding ground for fear and worry.
It keeps us stuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a loop of doubt and procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
But when we make a clear decision, even if it's not the perfect decision,
Right.
we create momentum, we cut off the anxiety at the root, and open ourselves up to new possibilities.
Wow. It's a powerful reframing of decision-making. It's not just about making the right choice, it's about breaking free
Yeah.
from that paralysis of indecision and creating forward momentum.
Yes.
It reminds me of the story Hill shares in the book, a rather unexpected one, actually.
Ah, you're talking about the death row inmate.
Yeah, the death row inmate.
It seems like a strange anecdote to include, in a book about success.
Yeah.
But it actually illustrates the liberating power of decision in a really profound way.
Okay, wait. Hold on. A death row inmate?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, but also a bit confused. How does that tie into this idea of decision-making?
So Hill describes this inmate who, despite facing his imminent execution, was surprisingly calm and at peace. And the reason for his peace, according to Hill, was that he had accepted his fate. He had made a decision. And in that decision, he found this strange sense of freedom.
That's pretty intense. But I see the point. It's a reminder that even in the face of, seemingly insurmountable challenges, the act of making a decision, of choosing a path and committing to it, it can bring a sense of clarity and control, even a sense of liberation.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we always have the power to choose our response, even in situations where we feel powerless. And that act of choosing, of deciding, can be incredibly empowering. It allows us to move forward even if the path ahead is uncertain.
So we've got burning desire, resilience, a supportive mastermind, and the power of decisive action. This secret formula is shaping up to be quite a potent concoction. What else does Hill reveal?
Well, he also emphasizes the importance of seeing yourself as a problem solver.
Problem solver.
And this is where the guide to marketing personal services we're diving into comes into play.
Okay.
It highlights how the landscape of work is changing. Jobs are becoming less about filling a role and more about forming partnerships.
So it's not just about what you can do, but about how you can contribute.
Precisely. It's about understanding the needs of the other party and positioning yourself as the solution to their problems. And the guide emphasizes the importance of crafting a compelling brief.
Right.
That showcases not just your skills, but also your understanding of the company and your unique solutions to their challenges.
It's like applying for a job, but with the mindset of an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Pitching a business proposition.
Yes.
You're not just selling your skills, you're selling a solution.
And that's a powerful shift in perspective. It takes you from being a passive job seeker to an active problem solver.
Right.
And this mindset, as Hill emphasizes, is essential for success in any field.
I love that. It's about taking ownership of your career, your skills, your value. But Think and Grow Rich doesn't just focus on practical advice, does it?
No.
It also dives into some pretty intriguing and, dare I say, metaphysical concepts.
Right. You're referring to Hill's exploration of the sixth sense, or as he calls it, creative imagination.
Exactly. It's not just about our five senses. It's about tapping into a deeper level of intuition and insight. Hill even shares a fascinating story about Dr. Elmer Gates, who literally made a living by sitting for ideas.
Ah, Dr. Gates.
Yeah.
He was a pioneer in harnessing the power of focused thought. Major corporations would pay him big bucks to come up with innovative solutions to their problems.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He'd isolate himself, clear his mind, and just wait for those aha moments to hit him.
It's almost like he was tuning into a hidden frequency.
Yeah.
Like a source of knowledge beyond our normal senses. So what's the takeaway for us mere mortals?
Okay.
Who haven't quite mastered the art of sitting for ideas. How do we tap into this sixth sense?
That's a great question, and one that we'll definitely explore further.
Okay.
But for now, the key takeaway is that Hill is challenging us to think beyond our limitations, to cultivate our creative imagination, and to see the world through a different lens. It's about recognizing that we all have this untapped potential for insight and innovation within us. We just need to learn how to access it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We've been unpacking some pretty powerful concepts, but let's face it, ideas are only as good as their application, right?
Exactly. I'm all for big, bold ideas, but I need that practical roadmap. Like, how do we actually turn these principles into tangible results?
That's where Hill's emphasis on organized plan comes in.
Organized planning.
It's not enough to just have a burning desire. You need a clear, actionable plan. to fuel that fire. Hill's very specific about this. He even suggests writing down your goals, creating a timeline, breaking those big ambitions down into bite-sized steps.
Wow, so it's like creating a blueprint for success.
Right.
A step-by-step guide to get from where you are to where you want to be. You know, it's interesting. The guide to marketing personal services we touched on earlier, it actually echoes this idea. That's right. The guide highlights the importance of crafting a detailed brief when applying for jobs. Think of it as a blueprint for your career goals.
So showcasing your skills and experience, sure, but also demonstrating a deep understanding of the company's needs.
Yes.
And presenting yourself as the solution.
Exactly. It's not just about what you want, but about aligning your goals with the needs of the other party. This requires careful planning, research, and a strategic approach.
So it's like a dance, really.
Yeah.
You're not just stepping on anyone's toes, you're moving in sync, creating something beautiful together.
And speaking of moving forward, Hill is a huge advocate for decisive action, isn't he?
He is.
He sees indecision as a major roadblock.
Absolutely. Hill argues that indecision is like a breeding ground for all those nasty fears and anxieties we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It keeps us stuck in a loop of overthinking and procrastination.
Right, but when we make a decision, even if it's not the perfect one, we create momentum. We break free from that mental paralysis.
Yes.
And set things in motion. And remember the death row inmate we discussed earlier? His story, while intense, perfectly illustrates this point.
Yeah.
He found peace, not because his circumstances were ideal, but because he had made a decision and accepted the consequences.
It's a powerful reminder that taking action, even in the face of adversity, can be incredibly liberating. Okay, so we've talked about desire, planning, and decision. What other practical gems does Hill offer in Think and Grow Rich?
Well, he stresses the importance of specialized knowledge.
Specialized knowledge, okay.
He argues that it's not enough to just have general knowledge. You need to become an expert in your chosen field.
So it's about going deep, becoming a master of your craft.
Yes.
But Hill isn't just talking about formal education, is he?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He's advocating for continuous learning, constantly expanding your knowledge base through reading, studying, seeking out mentors, and embracing new experiences.
I've always loved that about learning. Because it's not a destination, it's a lifelong journey. It's about staying curious, pushing your boundaries, always seeking to expand your understanding.
And the guide to marketing personal services actually emphasizes this too. It talks about the value of ongoing education, especially in today's rapidly evolving job market. It encourages individuals to take ownership of their professional development, to actively seek out opportunities to learn and grow.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Be adaptable, continuously refining your skill set. So not only do you need a burning desire and a solid plan, but you also need to be constantly sharpening your tools, adding new ones to your toolbox.
Exactly. It's like being a chef, constantly experimenting with new ingredients and techniques. But now, for a topic that might raise a few eyebrows, Hill dives into the idea of sex transmutation.
Ooh, now this sounds interesting, and maybe a little bit controversial. What exactly is sex transmutation, and how does it fit into Hill's formula for success?
Well, this is where Hill delves into the power of sexual energy as a creative force.
Okay.
He argues that this energy can be harnessed and redirected towards other pursuits like building a business, creating art, or achieving, any other ambitious goal.
Okay, I'm following so far. But how do you actually transmute sexual energy?
Right.
Is this about suppression or denial?
Not at all. Hill emphasizes that it's about understanding the power of this energy and consciously channeling it into productive endeavors. It's about transforming raw desire into a driving force for creative expression and achievement.
So it's like taking that passionate energy and focusing it like a laser beam towards your goals.
Exactly. Hill even suggests that many of the most successful individuals throughout history, from inventors to entrepreneurs to artists, were driven by this transmuted sexual energy.
He points to figures like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and even Mahatma Gandhi as examples of individuals who harness this powerful force to achieve extraordinary things. Now, I know this might seem a bit out there to a modern audience, but
it's important to remember the historical context.
Right.
Hill was writing in the early 20th century, drawing on ideas that were circulating at the time.
True. And while the terminology might seem a bit dated, I think there's a kernel of truth here. Our emotions, including sexual desire, are powerful forces that can either drive us towards our goals or sabotage our efforts.
It's about recognizing the potential of our emotions and learning how to channel them in a positive and productive direction. And this ties into Hill's exploration of the power of thought and belief.
Right. Think and Grow Rich sometimes veers into the realm of the metaphysical, doesn't it?
It does.
Hill talks about intangible forces,
Hmm.
the power of thought to attract wealth and success, and the importance of aligning oneself with what he calls infinite intelligence.
This is where Hill's philosophy draws on the New Thought movement, which was popular in the early 20th century. New Thought emphasized the power of positive thinking, the interconnectedness of all things, and the belief that our thoughts, they can shape our reality.
And while some of these ideas might seem a bit woo-woo to a modern audience, I think there's something to be said for the power of belief. Our thoughts and beliefs do shape our perceptions, our choices, and ultimately our outcomes.
Absolutely. If we believe we're capable of achieving great things, we're more likely to take the actions necessary to make those beliefs a reality. And conversely, if we're consumed by fear and doubt, we're more likely to sabotage our own efforts.
So even if we don't fully subscribe to Hill's metaphysical beliefs, I think there's value in recognizing the power of our mindset. It's about cultivating a belief in ourselves.
Yes.
And our ability to achieve our goals.
Yeah.
And this leads us back to that mysterious sixth sense we touched on earlier.
Yes, the sixth sense, or creative imagination, as Hill calls it. He dedicates a whole chapter to this concept, arguing that it's the source of all inspiration, intuition, those aha moments that lead to breakthroughs.
It's like that spark of genius that ignites innovation and creativity. But how do we cultivate this elusive sixth sense? Is it something we're born with, or can we develop it?
That's a fascinating question, and one that Hill explores in depth. He believes that the sixth sense is a faculty that can be developed and strengthened through practice and focused attention.
So it's not just about waiting for inspiration to strike.
Right.
It's about actively seeking it out, cultivating it, and honing it like any other skill. And remember Dr. Elmer Gates, who made a living by sitting for ideas.
Yes.
He clearly had a system for tapping into this power.
Exactly. And Hill suggests specific techniques for stimulating the sixth sense, such as visualization, affirmations, and quiet contemplation. It's about training your mind to think differently, to see beyond the obvious, and to tap into a deeper level of intuition and insight.
It's almost like opening up a new channel of perception, a way of seeing the world through a lens of possibilities and creative potential. So it's about desire, planning, action, knowledge, belief, and now this sixth sense. Hill's secret formula is a multifaceted gem, isn't it?
It is, and each facet plays a crucial role in shaping a mindset for success, not just in terms of material wealth, but in achieving a life of purpose and fulfillment.
Welcome back. We've been on quite a journey exploring the wisdom of Think and Grow Rich. But now it's time to get down to brass tacks. How do we actually apply these principles, not just admire them?
Yeah, it's a great question. And Think and Grow Rich doesn't shy away from providing practical advice. It all starts with defining that burning desire.
Right.
We talked about earlier, this isn't about vague wishes.
Right.
It's about getting crystal clear on what you want, why you want it, and how you plan to achieve it.
So it's like creating a laser focus for your energy and efforts. It's not just about drifting through life, it's about having a clear destination in mind. But it's not just about material wealth, is it? Think and Grow Rich seems to point toward a more holistic definition of success.
Absolutely. Hill's philosophy, it encompasses success in all areas of life, not just financially, but also spiritually, emotionally, and even physically.
It's about becoming the best version of yourself, about living a life that's aligned with your values and purpose. So where do we begin? What's the first step on this path to self-actualization?
It all goes back to the power of decision.
Okay.
You have to make a firm commitment to your goals, no more wavering or second-guessing. It's about declaring, this is what I want, and I'm going to make it happen.
It's like drawing a line in the sand,
Yeah.
saying no more excuses, it's time to take action. And once you've made that decision, then what? How do you actually start moving towards your goals?
That's where Hill's emphasis on organized planning comes into play. Remember those blueprints for success we discussed?
Yeah.
It's about breaking down those big, audacious goals into smaller, actionable steps. It's about creating a roadmap that will guide you towards your destination.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of your dreams, you break them down into manageable milestones, bite-sized pieces that you can tackle one at a time. It's like climbing a mountain. You don't focus on the summit, you focus on the next foothold.
Precisely. And this is where the advice from the Guide to Marketing Personal Services comes in handy.
Okay.
It talks about crafting a detailed brief that showcases your skills and solutions.
And that principle can be applied to any goal, right? Not just careers, but relationships, health, creative projects, anything you're passionate about.
Exactly. Whether you're pitching yourself for a dream job or mapping out your plan to write a novel, the process is similar. You need to get clear on your vision, define your target audience, and develop a strategy to achieve your objectives.
And let's not forget the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. Hill was a big believer in the mastermind principle, wasn't he?
Absolutely. Your mastermind group
Yeah.
can be an invaluable resource. On your journey to success, they can be your sounding board, your accountability partners, your cheerleaders, the people who help you stay motivated and focused when the going gets tough.
Because let's face it, the road to success is rarely smooth sailing. Right. There are going to be bumps along the way, setbacks and challenges that test our resolve.
And that's where persistence comes into play. Hill was adamant about this point. He said, every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage.
So it's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning from our mistakes, adapting our approach, and using those experiences as fuel to propel us forward.
Remember Darby, the guy who gave up on a gold mine just 3 feet from striking it rich?
Yeah.
He could have easily let that defeat crush him, but instead he turned it into a valuable lesson.
Right.
In persistence, he used that experience to fuel his success in other areas of his life.
It's a powerful reminder that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone. But in today's rapidly changing world, persistence isn't enough, is it? We also need to be constantly learning and evolving.
Absolutely. Hill emphasizes the importance of specialized knowledge. It's about becoming an expert in your chosen field, staying ahead of the curve, and constantly expanding your skill set.
It's about embracing lifelong learning, about being curious, adaptable, and always open to new ideas and experiences. And it's not just about accumulating knowledge, it's about applying it. It's about taking what you learn and putting it into action.
And that's where the power of the sixth sense, that creative imagination we talked about, it comes into play. It's about thinking outside the box, seeing possibilities where others see limitations, and coming up with innovative solutions to challenges.
Hill believed that this sixth sense was the source of all great ideas, inventions, and breakthroughs. And he emphasized that it's a faculty that we can all cultivate and develop.
He suggests specific techniques like visualization, affirmations, quiet contemplation. It's about training your mind to tap into a deeper level of intuition and insight, to see the world through a lens of possibilities.
It's about trusting that inner voice that often guides us towards our true path. So Think and Grow Rich is more than just a guide to financial success, isn't it?
It is. It's a philosophy for living a fulfilling and meaningful life, a blueprint for unlocking your full potential and achieving your dreams, whatever they may be.
It's about developing a success mindset, cultivating empowering habits, and using the power of your mind to create the life you desire. And remember, the journey to success, it's rarely a straight line. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. But it's the persistence, the resilience, and the unwavering belief in yourself that will ultimately determine your outcome.
So go out there and make your dreams a reality. And if you ever need a reminder of the principles that can guide you on your journey, just remember, Think and Grow Rich and the wealth of wisdom it contains.
And that wraps up our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of timeless wisdom and practical advice.